afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's discussion on elevating customer service, tips and tricks from local businesses. We are so glad you could join us today. My name is Anna Gallipo, and I am a member of the Board of Directors for the Eastern Lake County Chamber of Commerce, and I am a development director with the American Heart Association. I'm excited to be moderating this conversation because customer service is something that truly touches every business and every industry. And we've brought together an incredible group of leaders to share their perspectives. We will be taking questions from the audience after our panelists have answered a few questions. To submit a question, please write it down on the white card that's at your seat. We will collect those when we are ready to field questions, and I will go ahead and ask the panelists. So I will go ahead and introduce our panelists. So we have Lori Richards. Lori, raise your hand. She is the owner of 1922 Coffee Brew. She's worked in the retail field for 30 years with over 25 of them in retail management. She's a resident of Painesville Township, married with 3 children. Some of the best experiences she has to share have come from the connections she has made with guests. Then we have CJ Paternitti, CJ here, President, CEO, and owner of D&S Automotive Collision and Restyling, the largest family-owned multi-shop operation in the Cleveland area. Under his leadership, D&S has grown to 6 locations across Northeast Ohio and earned numerous awards for business excellence, customer service, and community impact. Beyond business growth, CJ is deeply committed to employee development, philanthropy, and giving back, raising over $227,000 for UH Rainbow Babies and Children's Hospital through the annual D&S Cruisin'. His dedication to people, culture, and customer service makes him a powerful voice in today's conversation. Next, we have Carolyn Trevisano, who is the experienced leader and vice president at Keybank. Carolyn has been in retail banking for 23 years with a career always centered on helping clients financially while creating a positive experience for them. For the past year and a half, she's been serving as an experienced leader, which has been especially rewarding since it allows her to support both clients and teammates as they grow in their careers. And finally, we have Jamie Petty, owner of Turf Pride Lawncare. She is a key part of the Turf Pride Lawncare team, which is a family-owned and operated business in Mentor. Since 2002, she has worked alongside her husband to help grow the company. Her leadership has been essential in guiding the office staff and building a strong, customer-focused culture. Turf Pride has earned the Fast Track 50 award, been featured in Lawn and Landscape magazine, and received over 500 5-star reviews, all by living the motto, under promise, over deliver. We will learn about each of them as we go along, but for now, let's dive right in with our first question. So let's start with the big picture. From your perspective, what is the single most important factor in delivering exceptional customer service? And do you think that looks different depending on who the customer is, say across different age groups or preferences? Who wants to kick things off?
Diving right in. I'll kick off question number 1. It's hard when you pick just one thing, right? I mean, we all, I believe, have an expectation of what customer service is because I feel like we all know what we individually want when we walk into any kind of business, whether it's a bank, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's owning a landscaping company. I mean, there's different things you look for every time you go in. I truly believe one of the biggest impacts you can have on your guests, which I like to call them, I never call them customers and just in our line, it's always a guest because I feel like you're inviting somebody into your business just like if you were having a party at home. It's gonna look like that and it's gonna feel like that. You're gonna greet them. You're gonna find out, what exactly they're here for. You're gonna offer them something, that kind of thing. So Welcoming and communication is probably, to me, one of the biggest things in customer service. Hi, how are you today? Welcome in. What can we do for you? That kind of thing. So I truly believe without communication, you're almost having a stale moment. You got to find out before you can truly help them what it is they're looking for.
I'll kind of tie into that. So kind of being the specialist of our industry, right? Like client comes in and maybe they think they know what they want, but we definitely have to uncover like what that solution is for them, no matter what the industry is. And it's important that like every client gets our best every time. So every client, every time, making sure that like you're truly making a difference for them.
That's great.
And I think we all, same customer service philosophy. We really try to build trust with our customers. In the industry that we're in, a lot of trust has been broken before that customer comes to us. So we want to listen to our customers, get their feedback, what they didn't, what happened with their last company, why they're moving to our company, taking the notes to make sure that we will fulfill what they are looking for in customer service. So we're hoping that we build long lifetime customers and they don't leave us and they stay with us forever. So
our business is unfortunate to the degree that nobody wrecks their car on purpose to come see us. So communication's been said a lot, and I think, well, my father's told me this too. God gave you two ears and one mouth, so you should listen twice as much as you talk. And that plays a strong role in how we handle things, and empathy for us, because your vehicle could be either your largest purchase next year, and if it's not your vehicle, it's your home. So, and it's also your means of transportation, whether you're picking up your kids, you're grabbing groceries, you're shopping, or you're just going out for the night. The vehicle is, because it's such a large expense, making sure that we exceed the customer's expectations by understanding, by listening, and recording too. So not only does the communication have to be key with the customer, it's got to be internally for us, especially in 6 locations, and it's got to be consistent across the board depending on what store that anybody would go to. So for us, the internal communication is just as crucial as the external communication with the customer. And you can slip up, customer maybe want just to be texted when the car's done. We have the customers that want to know every day where it's at, what's been done to it, and what are you going to do next, and then also set the expectation. And for us also, dealing with the amount of vehicles we have within the facilities, we also have another customer, which would be the insurance company, who's footing 90% of the bill or 75% of the bill, because you have your deductible that's due if you're a claimant, if you're an insured, and if you're a claimant, it's real simple, depending on what that customer's expectation is. So communication obviously is key, and don't ever discredit not having too much information, because that also will help the experience throughout for our repair process and how we do things.
That's great, and that's a great segue to our next question. So service is only as strong as the people delivering it. So let's talk about how we prepare and support our teams. Customer service often comes down to the people delivering it. So how do you train and motivate your teams, especially those just starting out, to go beyond just checking the box and instead create consistent, genuine experiences for customers?
Let me start.
You start.
Okay. For us, we utilize outside resources, consultants, and having a very good community network also helps us. I know there's a gentleman in the audience who I talk to all the time, who I help through things. But also, I was told by a consultant that everybody needs a project, and then that creates buy-in, and that creates that knowledge base, because at the top, I don't deal with customers on a daily basis. The ones I do deal with are the ones that are upset, which, truth be told, there are a handful of those. And ultimately it comes down to poor communication is ultimately what causes those conversations. But developing things, and I've always relied on this too, only try to work on things of 3, because if you have more than 3, you don't know what's successful and you don't know what may change that experience for the customer. So the rule of 3 always pertains to a lot of our conversations internally. And then really, for me, working on the business, not in the business, helps us become as successful as we are with exceeding customers' expectations. And humble too, give back. I think that's a big thing.
Yeah.
I think that draws a lot of people to us from an employment standpoint because they want to be a part of that. So, I don't know if they answered that question too well, but.
That's great.
I'll tail on what he was kind of going through a little bit. So I also believe in order to have a staff to properly train and guide through those things, I think it also begins in your hiring process. Looking and having a standard for what you're looking for that's going to be fit and tailored to your business is going to make your training process so much more easier on you. Look for things that align with your business. I try to also, and I will be the first to admit, when I first did interviewing and hiring, I was terrible. I hired some people that I thought, oh my gosh, I was so excited. I was like, oh, guess what? I just had an interview today and they are going to be amazing. And then like 3 weeks later, they were not. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. Like, not everybody is going to interview well and be a fit for your company. But sometimes also that person can be a great fit for someone else. Maybe they really thought they were going to come in and they want to make lattes and they want to serve up those muffins and things like that, and going through the process and talking with them and really describing, what we're looking for and what is our standard and what do we do with the community. Sometimes those things flourish ideas with those people, and you might find somebody that could be great for him or great for her, and that also, that networking part of people is fantastic, because then in turn people are going to network people for you too that they might have an interview with you. But once you, I feel like, get that staff in, he touched on consistency and things like that. You have to train consistent to have consistency in your building. You have to also, I feel like, how many people have an employee handbook? Raise your hand in your buildings. Do you know why those are so important to have? They lay out standards and expectations for your employees that I think are just so good to review. These are all very just personal opinions, but we need to also understand that everybody that we hire in and we want to train, I always want to train people to be the most successful they can be if I'm not in the building, which I'm always there. But if I'm not in the building, I want them to feel confident and know that they can answer the same question about the muffins, same question about a latte, same question about, do you have a room that I can rent off of you, and what's that kind of information? And if they can't, they feel confident in knowing, hey, I can't answer that question, but I can take the number, Lori and Brian can call you back, or whatever the case may be. But it's so important to support your employees. Support could be at the end of every day, at the end of every shift when we close, I tell every employee, thank you so much for your hard work today. I really appreciate it. The miners, I watch walk to their cars. It's a big deal for them, and it's a big deal for their family. It's those little things. It's not always, let me show you a skill on the register. Sometimes it's just knowing that they have somebody there that they can ask a question to, not feel embarrassed to ask that question, and how to get through a situation. I hire a lot of high school kids for baristas, and what I really look for is engagement with them when they're interviewing. They don't have to know how to make lattes. They don't have to know how to make a cup of coffee. If they can look me in the eyes, they can answer questions, and they are smiling through the interview, and they feel comfortable having a conversation with me, they're going to feel very comfortable having a conversation on a Saturday morning when there are 300 people passing in and out of that door all day long. And it's just giving them the tips and the tricks of looking at what those skills are that are going to make things easier. And, it's like what we said in the beginning about communication. I tell the girls, you're going to have a long line. People are going to be staring you down. They're going to stare you down. They want to know how long it's going to be. By the time they get there, I know I'm a little long-winded. I'll finish up here, but something I have always told in any of my retail stores that I've been in: never apologize to a customer for being busy. You want your business to be busy. Don't apologize for being busy. Thank them for being patient. Thank you so much for being patient. It's your turn. What can I get for you? That goes a long way, and it will diffuse a situation typically. And then just say, hey, Sue, I saw you last week. How's everything going? You were on vacation, right? How was your vacation? It just calms the situation for both ends. It lets your employee know, like, I got this. Okay, this is easy. And it lets your customer know they're appreciated. Their time is appreciated, and their presence is appreciated.
Just to tie into all of that, one of the things at Keybank is we don't call them employees, we call them teammates. And having that conversation with all of them that not one position is more important than the other. I do a lot of the interviews, and I'm very close to the onboarding process for the new teammates coming in too. And often the tellers will be like, I'm just a teller. And I have to say, you're not just anything, right? Like, everybody is just as important as anybody else, but truly empowering them, having the consistent conversations with them about what they've done, maybe what they're struggling with, and where they want to get to in their career. We dive into, like with HR, a lot of why people are leaving, and a lot of comments are that they never thought they were going to do anything else with the company. So definitely having those proactive conversations. And it's okay if they're not in the right seat, but how can we get them there, right? So supporting them in any direction that they want to go.
Yeah, so my thought on this is that we hire and fire off of our core values. So starting our company from like one customer to where we are now, we had to learn and grow from employees, handbooks, policies, procedures. So I would strive, let you know if you don't have core values or a mission statement in your business, get those locked down and that and ask the questions in your interview that follow your core values. You can ask ChatGPT to help you out. Weed those questions out right away, because I can train someone how to treat a yard or to fertilize a tree or shrub, but I can't. We can train them on their core, our core values, but that's inbred in someone. That's their growing up. That's their, we have a very strong culture at Turf Pride, and we try to keep everybody following that core value. And if they don't follow that core value, they get weeded out really fast, because our employees all follow those core values, and they won't let anybody else break that culture at our business. So, and to go along with the handbook, get a handbook if you don't have one. I always joke that you have policies and procedures in that handbook because someone messed up somewhere, and you want to cover yourself that something happens, and changing that handbook. There might be some space in there that doesn't make sense, or something new came up on an attendance issue, and now we're going to revamp that attendance issue because it wasn't so black and white. We want it to be they know this policy, and then we'll update that. We call our winter time as our updating and stuff. So, but definitely core values and mission statements, I think, are very important with your training and doing that. So,
thank you. Those are some great insights on building strong teams. Of course, even the best systems and teams can face challenges. So when things go wrong, how do you recover and turn a negative experience, whether it's a complaint or a bad review, into an opportunity to build trust and strengthen your reputation? Lori, you're nodding your head. You want to kick things off?
Funny thing once, in one of my retail stores, I had a guest who found something somewhere and wanted to keep it for themselves, and it was clearly not theirs to keep. And I was explaining the procedure of, thank you so much for finding this. This is what we need to do in order to replace it to the original owner. And she was not having it. Not having it at all. She really wanted it. And, I just explained again very nicely with a smile, I'd be happy to take your name and number, and as soon as I have a resolution or we cannot find the guest in this, time frame, I'd be happy to call you. And she still wasn't having it, and she told me she didn't like my smile and she was gonna call corporate. And I was like, okay, well, my name is Lori R, in case there's another Lori, but, sometimes you just have to do the best you can, let it go, take a note, move on, talk with your team. How would you have handled this? Would you have done something different? Because sometimes right in the hot seat of the moment, when somebody is really mad, somebody is very upset with something, or something happened that you are trying to, resolve, sometimes immediately you react, and then later you go, oh, wish I would have said this or done this. So it's taking a breath, let your person know that, okay, I understand why you're upset. Let's talk this through. Let's see what we can do. I am a believer that the guest is not always right. But I am also a believer in that through talking through things, you're going to be able to find some kind of resolution. Let me explain what I can do for you. Okay? And trying to teach your staff that too, that nope, this isn't it. A lot of some inexperienced or some staff, they just give a simple answer. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not our policy. And you're like, what do you do now, right? What do? You need a resolution. So, going through, if you're the one that's maybe hearing it, sometimes if somebody is upset and I hear them talking to one of the girls or whatever, I will go up and I'll go, hey, what can I help you with too? But I will stand there right with them to support them and just say, what's going on, and we'll figure out, what's going on, and we'll talk about a solution together. And, I want these kids to be able to handle a situation. It's very intimidating though when you're 16 years old and you have somebody 30 or 40 years old, really coming at you. It's very intimidating, but I think it is so crucial for people to learn these experiences, right? How do you know how to handle a situation until you've ever been in one? You can't just say, hey, move over, I got this. Because that's not fair to your team as well, right? So you need to be able to guide and help with that. Understand also, you're just not going to make everybody happy. I mean, that is, I feel like that is a very tried and true statement. You just can't make everybody happy with the resolution they want. Offer what you can and know that you did the best you can. Try to be as gracious as you can, and hopefully that will help resolve.
So I deal with this often. I get all the client complaints from the branches. So I'd have to say, 9 times out of 10 when you're calling somebody, they just want to be heard. They want you to understand their frustration. So letting them talk, apologizing for the situation, goes a long way. And again, maybe you can't do what they want to do, but what can we do to help them? Coaching our teammates all the time of calling, just taking that above and beyond step for the client, whether it's helping them change a direct deposit at another bank, what can we do to make a difference in their life today to have them continue to come back to Keybank and really kind of wow them in that moment. And I do a lot of coaching with the teams, and one of the things I always ask them is, if you had that interaction again, what would you do differently? So really letting them think about that interaction and kind of coach themselves and realize what they could have done differently, whether it's not getting defensive or just wording that they could have done a little bit different. So empower them to be able to have that conversation and confidence when they're dealing with clients as well.
Yep. And so in our office, we don't have a call center, so we answer every single phone call. So when that customer calls in, They could be super happy or they could be super upset. So we try to handle each call as they come in. And, you know, our philosophy is we'd rather show a customer something than kind of tell them over the phone. So you can kind of feel them out as you're talking to them. If we could just answer this question right away, or if someone needs to go out to the property to look at the yard and walk the customer through the yard. Sometimes they think they have this weed in their yard, but it's just grass. It's a grass variety that it's never gonna go away, so unless we do something about it. I'm glad that you said that the customer is not always right, and I was always a huge philosopher in my retail space up until starting Turf Pride, that the customer was always right. There was no internet back then. I mean, this is 25, 30 years ago. All they had was what someone told them. Now they can go on Google, they can go on ChatGPT, they can take picture images, things get confused. So I hate to say the customer's always right, because they're not always right. But it's not my position to tell them, you know, it's not my position to make them feel bad about that. You know, let's explain the situation, show me what you're talking about, what do you think's going on, and then we kind of solve the situation that way. And I don't need to always be right either. But I like to educate my customers, and I feel like they come to us because we educate them and we help them get the solutions that they want. And then, you know, we do listen to all of our calls. That's another thing. We do listen to our calls. They are recorded. Our customers know that. So if we overhear a conversation, we can go back and listen to that call and listen to the customer and see where we messed up or they may say the wrong thing. We do have software that AI will run through things and they will say, this call needs to be escalated. Maybe the person that answered the phone didn't realize that. So we're really trying to train in every aspect of that situation. And, you know, bad things turn into good things because then you create a policy or you change your training. So don't ever think a negative thing like that would be something to ruin your day or, you know, stuff like that.
CJ, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, we're all humans. And depending on what somebody's emotional desire is for that day is going to depend on what type of client, customer, guest you may experience. When I was reading this question, it said, what do we change in an opportunity? Most recently, we had a customer file a lawsuit with us for things that we didn't do wrong. Sat through a pretty heavy deposition for half a day to know that what my staff did was document, communicate everything that was needed to be done, and the case was just recently dismissed. So the opportunity at that point said, okay, if this didn't go like this, what could we have done to even reassure that the staff is doing everything they possibly can do? So I don't know if that really makes sense. I'm kind of like trying to spitball this, but things can be such as small as I got too much cream in my coffee to you didn't make my deposit to if we don't fix a car right, it could kill a family of 5.
Absolutely.
So I've also been raised on the principles that no matter what, we will always fix a car right, even if it costs me money, because I don't want my wife and my kids out on the road with that opportunity ever presenting itself. So knowing up front that everything we do, and then you completely audit on a regular basis when you do have, whether it's a conversation at lunch or you take somebody out to lunch, or it's a full group sit down once a quarter where we're saying, what are we doing? Are we doing it right? And for me, personally, I've never really worked anywhere else. I was a bagger at Heinen's. So I do have to rely on my staff to give me feedback to make sure that what we're doing is exceeding and doing things the right way. And documentation and communication is obviously the first and foremost things we need to make sure we're doing the right things on. So I rely on my staff to help me through some of these things because I just don't have enough exposure because I've really never worked anywhere else other than my family's business. So for me, I think everything is an opportunity. But also don't get caught up in it too much too, because if you're around for a very long time and you have a good reputation, you're obviously doing something right. So, I think I'm good.
I would say too, just to talk about that, you never know what the customers, when they're calling in, where their mindset is either, because they could have gotten seriously bad news or something, and then they looked outside and they looked outside and saw a weed in the corner, and then I'm the one getting it because I'm answering the phone. And then 9 out of 10 times later, maybe a week later, they call back and they're like, I'm really sorry, I was having a very bad day. So sometimes don't take it personally. I take things personally because it's my business, it's my baby. So, but just know that sometimes the customer might just be upset for something that you just happened to answer the phone and you got it. So don't take it so seriously every time.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's really valuable. Before I get into the next question, just a reminder that we will be collecting any questions that you all have, those white cards here pretty soon. So if you haven't written a question down, please feel free to do so. So let's shift to something that drives improvement over the long term, which is listening and adapting to our customers. What role does customer feedback play in shaping your services? And can you share an example of a simple change or a creative idea that made a big impact on customer satisfaction?
I mean, I can go first.
Yeah.
So we started implementing 3 years ago an after service, like an email every time. The customer gets it like 4 or 5 times a year at most, not that much sometimes, but we ask for feedback. We ask on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you like rate our customer service and then our service in general? And then if anything gets kicked back below a 7, they can leave a comment and then we can address those concerns, because we don't see our customers every day. We don't hear from some of our customers, but not hearing from them would either mean everything's perfect, or not hearing from them means everything is terrible. So a lot of people feel comfortable writing an email and addressing their concerns. So that is one thing that we have brought into our business every day.
We do surveys as well. Anytime they do a transaction in the branch, and in calling the clients, or even when I was in a branch on a daily basis, whether it was good or bad, I would always thank them for the feedback. I still do that when I'm calling clients as well, because we can't do better if we don't know, right? So I always say to my teams, how do we go from good to great? And we have to progress with how everything else is progressing, right? So just like we don't have the same products and services that we did 30 years ago, we don't do business the same way anymore, right? So we have to grow with our clients and what the needs are now and going forward.
I feel like there's a slew of things that we could kind of talk about when it comes to this. So when we get a guest in and they have said, for instance, this is our first time in, we're so excited, our friend referred us or whatever, and so you already have that, oh my gosh, we need to make this a great experience, and you're feeling that pressure a little bit, but so what we do is we try to visually catch them before they leave, and just say, hey guys, have a great day. Really appreciate you guys coming in today. How was everything? And when they tell us it is their first time in, we always say, listen, we're super open to feedback, constructive, and the best kind of feedback that you can give. Not everything is going to be great, but please share, because this is how we grow, this is how we learn, this is how we coach, and we want to make this a good experience for you. So we, in our place, obviously conversation and talking with our guest is really huge, because they're always right in front with us. Oh, is there something on the menu that you would want to see, or something different like that? So we try to gauge just what they're thinking out there. For a while, we didn't do maybe monthly specialty coffee latte kind of things or whatever. And so my daughter, she was like, Mom, this is so easy. let's just do this. She's like, I can make it up, whip it up, we can print it out. And it has been one of the biggest hits recently. Everybody wants oh, what's your special flavor of the month, or what's your latte, and that kind of thing. So they really look forward to certain things when they come in now. and just sharing, oh, this is what we have coming up next month. And even for our cocktail side, people are like, hey, have you seen this new whatever kind of thing? And so it's really listening and taking those opportunities from your guest, and seeing what you can do with that. How does it work in your own space? How does it work in your building? How does it work with your employees and things like that? So, we're human. We're not going to have the best day. We're going to make mistakes. We're gonna do things wrong. Owning it, I think, is also a really big thing in improving. If you can own a situation, just be like, you know what? You're right. I'm really sorry. I messed that up. Let me make it better for you. So just kind of turning those kinds of challenges and understanding that sometimes your guest is going to see something that you don't. And one of the things that I always do with employees too is I will take them outside of the space, and the two of us will stand and we'll watch everybody else for a second. We'll watch, some of the other girls. We'll watch somebody in the kitchen. And I say, look through a guest's eyes. What do you see? Is there something that you see that you would want differently here? Like, how would your experience be that you see now? And when you look at it, sometimes through the guest eyes, you do have a different perspective and you do see something differently. And we're all prideful of our businesses because in the end, we all work our tails off, right? For working for a company, working for yourself, we all work so hard. And at the end of the day, we just want to go, that was a great day. Let's go home and relax, right? Like, you just want to go home and know you made somebody's day. In one of the jobs that I had at Build-A-Bear Workshop when I was a manager there, one of the best videos that I ever watched for coaching, and I can't remember the name of it. I should have wrote this down, but if you look it up, you'll find it on YouTube. But it's called like being a day maker. And it talks about, for instance, there was this hairdresser and he had this particular client that would always come to him. And she came one day and she was like, I just want to change things up. Can you just take me in? I know it's short notice kind of thing. And long story short, she was going to commit suicide that day. And because of his kindness and his graciousness and just doing things for her, he made her day and she chose to stay. She chose to not commit suicide. And it just goes into this beautiful story of listening, understanding, and like how you go through motions like that. But it's super emotional, but I highly recommend you look that up and you watch that because it's great.
Oh, I got a long list. I'm just kidding. I mean, I've done everything from secret shoppers, online presence, whether it's social media, website. I mean, we're dabbling in AI right now to try to increase the customer's experience, because statistics within your industry, for us, most of the claims get filed 6 o'clock on a Friday till noon on a Sunday. Well, we're only open 8 to 5 through Monday through Friday. So a large portion of your claims are when the accidents happen and we don't have that opportunity to be there for that. We're looking at AI software. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all human, like we said multiple times, and we want to communicate. We're social beings. Asking, was everything good? Was there anything I could have done? I think we're too afraid to ask because we don't want to hear something negative, but we can always turn that negative into a positive. And and for us too, I mean, we see our customers on average once every 7 to 9 years. We need to make sure that experience is good, because I hate to say this, but this is the only thing I can make this relative around, is we're kind of like funeral homes, right? Nobody wants to go to a funeral home either. But once you have the family, that is where the reputation and the repeat business comes from, because everybody, aunts, cousins, kids turn 16. Unfortunately, I'm being honest, every 16-year-old will get in an accident eventually. It's only a matter of time. But then if we took care of the parents, we're going to take care of the children. And then, or even more generationally, it could be the grandparents take care of the parents and take care of the grandkids. So I strongly advise people to also be friends with people in business, because when your peer group is people doing the same things that you're doing, and it's not I'm in a peer group with just business body shops, but also in a peer group with just business owners, and we get together pretty often. We should get together a lot more often, but everybody's schedules with children and business in its own. But that will also drive communication, because you may get ideas, and the collaboration itself will be priceless, because it's free, because it's at an expense on a consultant that you may have to hire to help you grow your business or stay in business or understand what the challenges may be coming down the forefront of the evolution of any industry that's changing. But I mean, the word of the day should be communication. And I really pride myself on my staff for our internal and external communication, and it's a tall tale to our success for how many years have we been in business? 48 years.
I think the first question asked about how you communicate through the ages, different generations, and I think times are changing and people are super busy, and they're not able to pick up a phone, or they're not able to maybe meet you in person. But we have such great technology now. You can video at the customer's property, video damage. You can text message people. Just feel the communication out, because a lot of people would rather get a text message than a phone call, and you can have full-on conversations with your customer via a text message or email. So sometimes you have to watch your tone. That's the big thing with text messages. You might not think your tone is off, but it might be off. So just watch that, but just gear your communication to your customers that you feel they would prefer it, I would think.
Yeah. Thank you. We've got a nice stack of audience questions, so I'll make my way through them. So the first one, and anyone can answer this, how does your business go above and beyond with customers? Is there anything specific that you do that's very well received with some of your customers that people might consider going above and beyond?
Were you going to talk?
Go ahead.
I don't want to interrupt. Okay. I feel like, again, we all want to give back, and we all want to make happy, and we all want to be super community involved. With us, yeah, we are a small business, and I will say, besides owning your own business, one of the best jobs that I did ever work for was Build-A-Bear Workshop. It taught me so many things, but it taught me what working for a great company was, what having a great manager looked like. Talk about guest communications. Wow. That taught me some of the greatest things of how to deal with customers. I mean, I had a 5-year-old girl that was falling in my hands because she had no friends, so she thought I was her best friend when we're making a bear. Yeah, I am your best friend, absolutely. And, through, I'll give some examples, through the Chardon shootings, all the high schoolers were given bears at the high school, and there weren't enough bears to give, so the families were coming in and they were sobbing in my arms because they didn't have a bear, so I was making bears for them. So it's having these experiences that make you so full that you want to give back. So coming into owning your own business, if it wasn't for the community, we would not have a business. If it wasn't people's trust in your bank, you wouldn't have a business. If it wasn't people loving the customer service and the pride that you guys show, and the importance of driving your family every day and knowing I can take that there because my family is going to be safe. Understanding the deep basis of being thankful, grateful, and giving back. So one of our big events every year is we do a really huge Santa event, and it's free to the community. So the families will come in. I think we had 200 families last year, but and I have all kinds of volunteers that help us with it. But So the families come in, the kids go into a room, they make sugar cookies to take home and decorate. They decorate them there. We give them a couple guessing games. They come through. They make baggies of reindeer food to take home. They visit Santa and Mrs. Claus, which has been a really big hit with the little kids. One of the girls that I hired at Build-A-Bear, she's a photographer now for a big car racing company with drag racing, but she takes all the photos for the families. We give them free photos. We give them a goodie bag to go. We've involved the businesses right past the ice cream store with us. So Mackenzie and the hair salon at Kenzie K will give them s'mores. They make s'mores outside. We have the carolers from the drama club from Riverside come every year, and we donate to the Riverside back to them for that. And then they just have this huge experience, but they're so grateful for that, because sometimes we've had families who go, you know what, thank you so much, because we really couldn't afford to go to any like Christmas events this year, so this is a big thing that we do, and we're just so appreciative to you and your family. So just understanding sometimes the smallest consideration of just kindness is huge. And it's one of the events that I promise I will do every year to everybody that comes in, and it just makes my staff and the people that are involved, our volunteers, it just is huge. I can't explain like the feeling. It literally makes everybody, like at the end of the night, we're all hugging and crying. Oh my God, that was so amazing. Did you see that little kid? He was so happy. So, you know, it's just understand and just kind of look at people and what can you do back, because they're sharing with you. I think it's just really important.
Any other thoughts?
Can you read the question again?
It is, how do you go above and beyond with your customers?
I mean, for us, the last handful of years have been extremely tough financially. And in our business, 40% of the people have gotten at least a 25% increase in their premiums. So we've done things, we've taken care of rental cars. We try not to do that all the time, but there's obviously circumstances that we'll bring it up. People don't have rental car coverage. They don't have uninsured motorist coverage. They're out of their vehicle for the means of the time. Car vehicles are through the roof on price. So instead of a $25 rental, you're now at $50. So we end up taking people home. We try to work around their schedule. We try to pre-order parts. We try everything under our ability to what we do to compensate for the shortcomings that everybody has. You know, the days where it was $250, $500 for deductibles now is $1,500 to $3,000. So that's declined our business also, because also people are afraid to make claims because they don't want another policy increase. So we're really working, and that's where communication comes in, and it really is a collaborative situation where we have to work with the customer's means of what their ability is, what they can afford, and what they can do, and we're still liable if the vehicle's not safe, so we have to be able to make concessions, not make concessions on making sure people's vehicle is safe on the road too. So it's definitely a different time right now than it has been in the years past, and it's made it more difficult to do business, but I think it's also made things a little more relative to what people's expectations are too, versus you used to have those customers that would come in and scream and you just give them something for free just to get them to go out the door, and that doesn't work anymore because there's too much at stake anymore.
I will just add, so like at Keybank, we have a relationship experience model, which is make every moment matter, so every client, every time. And again, asking for feedback, so what is the client looking for that we can do better for them? And when coaching the teams, like we're creating an interaction, we're not doing a transaction, right? So it's creating that interaction for the client, making it memorable. There's a bank on every corner, what's gonna make them choose us? It's or choose Key, it's us, right? So empowering your teammates to be able to have that confidence and have those interactions as well. Yeah.
I'd say that, customer service and, we strive to have the same person on that customer's property each time. They grow to trust that technician. I mean, this is your home, this is your backyard, your personal space. You want to make sure you know who that person is. We follow notes. We leave, some people come to us because the company prior never locked the back gate. So we make sure that we double check that gate 5 times. They'll leave the street and be like, did I shut the gate? They'll come back. I mean, our technicians really care. They take pride in their work. It shows in our whole staff, but I think we give a really good customer experience, and we just listen to the customer. They might have some random things that they want done to their property, or not treating on Tuesday, or you have to only treat in the afternoons, or I sleep in because I'm retired, come in the afternoon. So we take all those things to heart, and we really follow through with our customers. And going beyond that, or if a customer calls in and they're angry or upset, getting someone there that day, or telling them we'll be there tomorrow, and then getting someone there this afternoon. Like, they don't know we're coming today, but we're going to do our best to make that customer happy. So just really following through with what we say we're going to do to our customers.
Thank you. All right, the question on everyone's lips.
Oh boy.
How do you handle social media complaints? Jamie, you alluded to this earlier, so you want to kick it off?
I hate to say that we don't have social media complaints. I don't know if people, I don't know, now I'm going to get a bunch of them probably, but I don't, I will tell you that in our industry, there is a lot of negative feedback in general for a lawn care company, putting down products on yards. A lot of people are not, they're just getting wrong information. And so we have to kind of combat those conversations with these people. I'm not gonna go, if we get something or someone comments on something, I'm not going to dispute it on social media. I'm gonna call the customer and I'm gonna figure it out. If we get a negative review, if we see that negative review, we're calling that customer. Like, what can we do to get you to take that review down? Like, I aim for 5 stars. So I eat and sleep and breathe customer service and giving our customers a great experience. So I take it personally when we get a customer complaint, and my husband can, I'll lose sleep over it, and he's like, just don't worry about it. And I'm like, listen, Mr. Smith is upset that he has a weed by his mailbox, or, and I'm like, what did we, and so, like, it's just, don't argue with the customer service, online. That's a big thing. Take it offline, and then try to get them to remove that if they can. You can ask them, if you fix the problem, the solution, ask them nicely to remove that comment. They'll take it down for you, because they're just in the heat of the moment, and everybody should know, everybody's a keyboard warrior nowadays, so they won't say it to your face sometimes, but they'll put it out there, so yeah. Hope that worked out for you.
Any other thoughts?
Social media is tricky. Whew, it's a tricky wicket. I feel like that also ties back into when you have an opportunity to talk with your customers or your guests. Always ask, how was your experience and things like that. You try to get them to talk to you before they leave your building, or, before their service is finished, or, obviously you guys are probably having a conversation when you're passing things off or whatever. You're going to get a feel and an idea for somebody who might do it, and then you're going to be surprised by some of them smack out of the blue. And we get people who will, if you've ever noticed, like sometimes on Google, I don't know what it's really called, but there are these like Google reviewers, and they get points for like how many places they review and stuff. So I truly believe that some of it is based off of, I'm going to Google the gas station I was at and my Giant Eagle experience today, and I'm going to Google everything because I want those points. But like we've had things that'll go on and they'll say, oh, it's a really boring place and they don't have servers and and this and that or whatever. Not everybody I'm going to respond to, and I don't always get an opportunity because I don't have their telephone numbers, like to call them back or something. Sometimes I will review and just say, Mr. Smith, I really apologize. When you were in the building, if you were to ask to speak to a manager or an owner, I would have been happy to have a conversation with you. 9 times out of 10, they take them down after I do that. Am I going to go on there and really fuss with someone? No. Because obviously, if they're going on and they're leaving you a really weird and kind of really disturbing review or just not, you can read through it and you're like, yeah, we're just going to leave that one alone because they're just having a day, right? But, but if any opportunity that I have on social media, if somebody knows them or, there's been so many experiences where sometimes the staff will know someone and they'll message them and they'll go, Bob, like what happened when you were in here today? And it's usually easily correctable. You just have to use your best judgment because it can be a really tricky slide.
Thanks,
Gotta be careful.
I do, to talk about that, I do look at other people's social, reviews, other companies that are in my industry. I know it sounds probably not the best, but look at what those customers are upset about. Like, if you're in any industry that's a service industry, see what they're not happy, what that review looks like, their negative reviews, and see if you're matching, you're going beyond that negative review. So it could be something so simple, they left tire marks in my driveway. They don't answer their telephone. Just simple stuff, and then you just improve your customer service from that negative feedback. That that makes
Yeah, it's learning.
You're learning, and you might not know that a customer is upset until they leave that review, and it could be something so simple to fix or.
Great. What are some of the ways that you use AI to enhance the customer service experience? I know a few of you mentioned some of the systems you have in place, so if anyone wants to share.
So I can share on what we do at Turf Pride. We have a chat bot on our website, and customers can go on that chat bot and ask questions. You're not physically talking to anybody in the office. We do monitor that chatbot, but we've trained that chatbot to scroll our blogs and our website, so they're pulling data from our specific stuff. And then it'll always gear them to, that chatbot will always gear them to, if it's a question they can't answer, to call the office or to text the office. We do use AI in our telephones, so the AI will transcribe all of our telephone calls. So as soon as we hang up with a customer, it's transcribing it, so that if we need to go back and look at a call, we can piece by piece look at that and know right away it's a summarize, like what the customer talked about, who they talked to. It does catch a lot of things that customers will say that they told us that they never told us. Then how do you go about that? I swear we told you and you did. Okay, they didn't, but you have to, it's customer service, right? So you have to answer that question. But I think AI is a great tool for that kind of stuff. And you can also, we also have the AI is able to read the conversation. So if it's an escalated call, maybe the person on the phone didn't think so, but it picked up a tone reading differently, then you can grab that call, give it to a manager, and then have them. But AI is a great tool if you get it to work for you.
I think it's helpful to take the emotions out of it sometimes when you're in leadership, right? And like you said, when you are texting people or emailing people and you're responding, it's not always read the way that it's coming off. So it just helps with some of that a little bit to kind of take your emotion out of it and, I don't know, just make it easier.
And the younger generation, we'll see them text a customer or something, and I'm like, whoa, but they didn't mean to say, they're like, that wasn't okay, and we're like, well, no, because someone might take that differently. So texting is good, but sometimes it's not always good because it could be taken the wrong way, and then you've upset someone, and then now you have another can to deal, of worms to deal with, you know. So,
Yeah.
Thank you. CJ, we have a question specifically for you.
Oh, boy.
Can you explain your rule of 3?
Yeah, so whatever your metric is, so I don't know if I said it earlier, you can't manage what you don't measure. So any metric that you're going to measure, if you want to improve some type of efficiency, don't change more than 3 things within the process, because at that point you won't know which one of the 3 is successful. Like, say if you just rewrote the entire thing from front to back, and how do you know it's going to give a better customer experience in that respect? Is what, and again, like you said earlier, this is pertaining to what my business is and what we do. But 1, set the expectation. 2, manage the rule. 3, for example, would be what is the success, or what the client too, because it could go the other way too. It could be a negative experience. So maybe that isn't, like, I don't know, for example, we're just going to text every customer from September 16th on for the rest of the year and see what happens. I guarantee you we're going to have a bad experience at some level. So maybe it's not all just, that's not a solution, but the conversation should be at the front. Would you like text messaging? Would you like us to email you? Would you like a phone call? Asking some before resulting into what you may think is a good situation, but that doesn't give a good customer experience. Like, I am the absolute worst person to sell to. I already know what I want, I know what I want to pay, and I want it, and I know what I want. So I'm bad at that, but that's again why I rely on my staff to give me the experiences that they deal with on a daily basis, so we can collaborate together and strategize and see what is going to be a success. So I could get really granular into what we do and how we do things too, but to give the rule of 3 from an example, I'm trying to think. Maybe it's something as we buy parts from only 3 vendors, who's going to give us the best deal, but then you have to also isolate, is it the good service, and do they pick up their credits? Because again, cash flow is also king on any type of business. But maybe the one that doesn't give you the largest amount of discount, but they're good with credits, and they're good on service, is the one that you would go with. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So just understanding what your expectation is, and then being able to manage through it, I guess.
Thank you.
No problem.
Lori, we've got one for you.
Oh boy. Okay.
Can you talk about whether you have a cell phone policy, being in the retail, sales, restaurant industry, and if so, what is it?
I feel like somebody knows me about cell phones in here. Who is it? I do have a pretty strict cell phone policy at work with the kids. I tell them they are not allowed to have their cell phones on their body during their shift until they take a break. I always say too, if there's an emergency at home, if there's something that you need to do, just tell me. It's okay. Like, you can tell me. But I do make them leave it in the back, not up at the coffee station with them. Why? Why not? First of all, why not? Because with the kids, they're so dependent on their cell phones with idle hands. If they have a list, they're great. I'm gonna tackle this whole list. I'm gonna clean the coffee station. I'm gonna fill coffee beans. I'm gonna go check the tables and wipe them down. And then when I'm done, what do I want to do? I want to Snapchat my friends. I want to Snapchat like, hey, I just cleaned tables. But I feel like it's super important for them to learn how to do things on their own too. I don't want them to always have a list. And at some point, through training, we start to lower our list and things like that. But I do tell them, and I do get a lot of parents in there too that will come in. I'm just really big, if you haven't noticed right now, I'm really, really big on coaching. And sometimes coaching isn't always sweet and rainbows and teddy bears. Coaching is not always that way. And I think it's also important for them to know that coaching is not always going to be like that. So when I say, I'm like, guys, can't have your cell phones on you, you know, I don't care, like when we get 5 minutes, if you guys want to go check it, that's fine. But it's one of the big things that even my kids, who, I mean, my kids love their cell phones, don't get me wrong, but when we go into places, we just went to Best Buy yesterday to get some stuff, and she was on her cell phone as she's cashing me out. And my kids always look at me like, are you going to say something? Like, Mom, don't say anything. And I didn't say anything, but my oldest son, he was like, that was so bad, Mom. That just looks like bad customer service. But then again, like, where was her supervisor? Like, did they even see that? You know, and is that a behavior that goes unnoticed, that continues? And I feel like anybody in this building, when you are not at your desk, when you are not at your job, don't you want to feel comfortable knowing if you're not in that space, you do not have to worry about what's going on in your building when you're not there. You want to know that everybody's taken care of, nobody is abusing your cell phone policy, nobody's giving out free stuff, nobody's not paying attention to guests walking in the building. So to tail on the phone, yeah, I'm pretty firm on the cell phone, but I'm also that softie that if those girls have just for 3 hours straight busted their tushes, I'm like, all right, girls, who wants a sandwich first? Like, who's going to eat first and go take a break? Like, I want to acknowledge that also, that I really appreciate them. The guest appreciates them. Here's your break. Let's organize it. Go on your cell phone. Go do what you got to do. Take 15. Next person's going to tag you out, and they're going to go do that too. So, you know what I mean? I don't want to take everything away from them because, let's face it, they're younger too, and they're going to teach me a lot of stuff. And without them, I also have no business. So without my staff, I can't do this. I can't do it at all. So I'm super grateful for them, you know, but I really love getting the kids in because I always tell the parents too, I want to give your child a great learning experience. This is not a job where you're going to have an absent manager or someone who does not care about what they're doing and what they're learning. But please know, I have expectations, and those expectations are expected to be followed. So they're usually like, they're yours. Yeah. Take them. Here you go. Do your thing. You know, and like I said, I'm not perfect. I'm human. They're going to teach me things too, and yeah, I mean, unfortunately, a super sweet girl, but she used the phone a little too much with texting me, and I didn't get back to her in the time frame that she thought she needed to be got back to, and she went on to one of her social media platforms and was like, WTF, why are you so weird? Somebody sent it to me, and that's it. You know, we can't have that kind of working relationship. So, you know, it's just, I want parameters in the building, and I want parameters with those things. And, you know, I'm not going to be a meanie, but I mean, there's rules, right? There's rules at my job that I have to follow. There's rules in school. There's rules everywhere. So, you know, I just want it to have the same feel. But you have to set expectations and parameters everywhere you are. So, yeah, that's it.
Thank you. One last question for each of you, and CJ, you can kick things off here. What is one thing you would encourage any business to do right now today to elevate their customer service experience?
I would say back to manage what you measure. Honestly, I think there's a lot of success to be having a group that you could have give you feedback. I mean, every customer's, I don't want to say they're going to bullshit you, and sorry for saying that, but not be honest to that degree. But I honesty is best policy. I'd rather you tell me something's wrong. I'd rather you tell me what I need to improve. I'd rather have you tell me where I fell short or where I need to make improvements, if I've already said that. But I think, and maybe there are some customers out there that will be honest with you. But is it enough to make a judgment call on what you want to change and what you want to focus on? That's the question. So, mine's probably two in part. One, have resource or utilize any resources you have outside, and two, I just ask. We've as society become so cold to the sense where we're just going to send a message or send an email. What happened to we want to get feedback? It doesn't have to be immediately, but like just talk to the next person, you know? I think we've lost that as society a little bit, not to get philosophical on this stuff, but there's a lot to be said to it, you know? And you know, we're all business owners. We have thick skin to some degree. Sometimes you just got to eat a bad sandwich. Not to you, Linda. Not to you, Linda. I didn't eat.
Not today.
I was trying to be political and I used the words I wanted to use. I'm sure you can fill.
I think for me, I think it's just kind of what I do on a daily basis to keep myself in check too. I look at situations through my guests' eyes, and I try to, like I said before, take the staff to do that too. And sometimes they don't see until they get on the other side of the line and they see like what's going on, and oh my gosh, I could have done that, you know. So I just seeing it through a guest's eyes, but expect the same from other people that you would give yourself. If you go into a place of business and the line is long, or if you go into a restaurant and, you know, maybe somebody didn't put your cheese on the sandwich, you know, and you're like, how hard is it to put the cheese on the sandwich the right way? Like, how hard is it? Like, but just expect the same that you would want to, that you need to give to your guests. So if you practice that, I think it's a self-check thing too, and you're gonna have more patience and you're gonna have more communication. You know, if you don't want something, make sure you tell someone. And if it's an accident, it's an accident. Like, let's communicate and let's move on and try to make everything in every instance and every experience you have successful. It's all about your experience.
Carolyn?
I would say don't be afraid to ask for feedback. Ask for that feedback and truly be open to listen to the feedback. And I think it's super important to ask for feedback as managers and owners of your business. Like, what do your teammates need to help them run your business as well? So
I would say inspect what you inspect from your employees. So our employees go out and they leave every day, and every 4 weeks we do follow-ups. We kind of check their yards or where they've been and just kind of see if they're following what we're asking them to do, the simple tasks every day. We just started this year asking for feedback from our actual employees. We never did that before. We just thought we'd do it all for our customers, but we never actually asked our employees for feedback. And we kind of struggle with this because, you know, we think we do such a great job, but sometimes we drop the ball. Like, we stopped providing breakfast once a month, and our employees were like sad about that, you know, or I don't fill the snack cabinet up as much as I'm supposed to fill it up, you know. I'm sorry, you know, I didn't get the right ice cream this month, so asking for feedback, even from your staff, is really important, and that has really grown us a lot as business owners this year, asking those questions. So inspect what you inspect and ask for feedback, is what I would say.
Thank you. That was great. Round of applause for all of our panelists. Thank you all. I'll pass it over to Katrina for a few final thoughts.
Thank you to Anna. We appreciate all that you did.
Thank you, Anna.
You're a long time. So, my brain's all these things. Lori, that was my cell phone question. So I'm gonna own that, but that was all me.
Yep.
Being at the chamber for a few years, I see all of your companies, Keybank, And you were chosen today to sit on this panel because we see what you're doing. And kudos to each and every one of you. You go the extra mile, so we have a little thank you from us here at the Chamber. You may not have got to have that best sandwich today, CJ. But we have a little treat, a little gift card in there, so maybe you can pop in and do some lunch at one of our favorite Chamber restaurants. So enjoy the wine from Grand River Valley and your snacks. So do you guys all have a lot of notes? I saw everyone writing down a lot of things. I hope that you found value in today's program. I got to give a shout out to our team back there on the cameras. So our students here at Auburn Career Center, they are looking for internships. They're looking to work with your business. So Rodney, their instructor, Kozar, is not here right now, but he did leave some business cards. So if you guys would be interested for your company or organization, please pass that through. And I want to invite you to a ribbon cutting tomorrow at the Madison Public Library. They have their mobile branch. So I hope to see some of you at 5 o'clock. And if you would, mark your calendars for our first Member Appreciation and Community Night out at Standing Rock Farms on Tuesday, October. I'm still writing June, friends.
Yes.
Where did summer go? 14th, 5 to 7:30. Thank you so much for being here and have a great day. Thank you all.
I would like to say just thank you to the Chamber and everybody that works, because I know for us, they're always like our cheerleaders, and I feel like they help so many of us. So thank you guys for all the work that you guys do too in the community. It's amazing.